initiative
right.
you were going to launch
this morning. We are announcing a Constitution Review and Drafting Committee on behalf of the NCF, the National Consultative Front. This Constitution Review and Drafting Committee will be chaired by Mr. Olisa Wakoba. It will include some former members of the National Assembly. It will include some senior lawyers. The NBA is actually sending formal representatives. The Association of APBN, professional bodies of Nigeria, former representative Nasima, former representative. And we are taking Nigerians across the board who have shown citizenship and have been involved in constitution making. And the primary charge to this group is to take the outcome of the Jonathan Conference, the outcome of the Obasanjo Conference, and new thinking, especially the new thinking that emphasizes a return, which is my preference, I must admit, to a Westminster parliamentary form of government that emphasizes lean, train, mean thinking government and emphasizes the principle of subsidiarity or decentralization of public authority to be closer to the people, and to provide us a draft constitution that we can go around this country and have town hall meetings around and present for a formal process, perhaps requiring the National Assembly to transmute into a Constituent Assembly with additional members to pass this document so that Nigeria can have a people's constitution. I am also hosting this morning a meeting of the Nigerian Elders Forum, as I mentioned earlier, that will put its head together on where did we begin to go wrong. Some of my personal views is the death of patriotism. You don't build a nation without patriots. And this runs across the board, from business, the complicit middle, as I call the middle class today, through to the youth of our country. Look, I can tell you I've been chairman of the board of a bank. We don't have banking in Nigeria. With what we have, this country will not make economic progress. So we have to completely shatter this thing and build a new banking system. Can you imagine that a development bank said to me that your project is fantastic, but you see, you're a politically exposed person. Managing director of a development bank in Nigeria is 10 times more politically exposed than me. I have not been near public office. I have not had any government contract in 40 years. And the person who is appointed by politicians without any process says to me that I'm politically exposed. It's the kind of nonsense that goes on in Nigeria. So we need to build patriotism in even our commercial players, because their conduct is preventing the growth and development that our country requires. We need a new kind of citizenship. We've talked before on this program of the hierarchy of members of a society, from idiots to tribesmen to citizens. We need to build a new citizens of participating people engaged in rational public conversation, not insulting one another. And from out of these citizens, a philosopher king who provides wisdom that sees tomorrow 100 years more clearly and guides how these conversations lead us to that tomorrow that we envision. We need to be able to get civil society re-energized and engaged with Nigeria. Right now, between centripetal and centrifugal forces, the truth of the matter is that our country is tearing apart. And we need to reverse the curse and reverse the course. You heard me? Curse and course.
Nice play on words there.
Well, but the president says, in spite of everything, we must remain very optimistic. And there's no doubt the two initiatives you are working on, beginning from today, will also give a lot of people hope. Thank you very much, Professor Tome, for joining us on the morning show. It's a great pleasure. On this special occasion.
Glad I could join you.
Thank you. At this point, we'll take another short break, and when we return, we'll be talking to Odia Ofemo, poet, author, philosopher, former personal secretary to the late sage Chief Obafemi Awolowo, former president, Association of Nigerian Authors. Do join us after.
I am Diola. I am proudly Nigerian. I'm a fashion designer. I love Nigeria. I was born in Nigeria. I am proudly of Nigerian heritage. Nigeria is my home. Nigeria is my land of birth. Others might want to claim me for their land, but no, I am not British Nigerian. I am not American Nigerian. I am double-dipped Nigerian. I have Nigerian running in my blood, in my veins. I thank God that I am Nigerian. Nigeria is my place. Naija is my place. I am a queen in Nigeria. I belong in Nigeria. God bless Nigeria. Happy 60th birthday.
Big happy birthday to Nigeria, my country, and to everyone from Nigeria. I wish us the good things of life. I wish everybody the best. I pray God will keep strengthening our country and keep blessing us abundantly. And yeah, I pray God be with us, man. You know, Nigeria, I pray Nigeria go better, go better, go better.
The beauty is, that there's a few hard Nigerians, serious, respectable Nigerians who I would give my last blood for, who have taken it upon themselves, and gone out and do anywhere in the world and done everything to become who they are. Positively.
Like?
Yeah.
Name.
There's so many. There's too many to name, you know. People like that I named in my song, like Adebayo Ogunlesi, who I'm sure you Google. I don't want to start doing like I'm promoting people too much. Do you understand? But they deserve promotion. Do you understand?
Yes.
Because these are the kind of things that we should be looking for. There's so many footballers, so many people that have gone and then come back to try and change something. That's the only hope we have so far. Because the leaders and the people that are appointed to do this are just not cutting it at this point.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. A lot of Nigerians alive can easily relate to household names in politics and government right from the First Republic, when the country was just taking its baby steps to self-actualization. Names like Chief Obafemi Awolowo, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Alhaji Tafawa Balewa, Chief Dennis Osadebe, and Malam Aminu Kano used to jump off the pages of Nigerian history books. But that was before history itself became a victim of the same circumstances which many political observers blame the country's ongoing struggles to nationhood on. For a look at this and other matters aiding Nigeria at this point, and indeed bask in the euphoria of positive landmarks and national accomplishments, we're now being joined by Odia Omefun, poet, author, philosopher, frontline nationalist, and a First Republic personal secretary to the late sage, Chief Obafemi Awolowo. Welcome to the program, sir. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Odia Ofemo. Thank you for joining us. Well, we've just been having a conversation with your brother and friend, Professor Patu Tomi. So it's exciting to also have you on a special day like this. But quickly, we started by having a look at the broadcast by President Buhari today. And one of the issues the president raised in that broadcast is, how did we get here? And how do we work together to take Nigeria to a better future? What are your thoughts?
Thanks for having me. I am not sure we'll have the time to do justice to the question, but I can tell you it is always best to look at what kind of solutions we want before we even discuss where we are coming from. I tell you why I'm starting from that angle. We've had it too often that Nigeria is a country that is made up of several ethnic groups. And many people have reached the conclusion that because we are so diverse, unity is almost out of line. But there is no country in the world that is really united in the sense in which many people talk about unity. To talk about Nigeria in terms of a diversity should just force us to ask, when the Europeans came, what did they do and what should we have done in return? My solution, and I think the best that Nigeria has been giving over the years, is that we should just have allowed ourselves to have all the knowledge in the English language translated into our indigenous languages, and all the knowledges in the indigenous languages translated into English. Equalize the situation between the colonizer and the colonized, and let genuine competition begin, meaning that every ethnic group and fraction in Nigeria would be equal at the level of education and would therefore be able to lay claim to employment for every person born to a Nigerian man or woman. If we did that, and employment was therefore the basis for engaging in genuine development, we wouldn't have to use the ethnic measures that we employ at the moment. Now, having said this and making it clear that there is actually a solution and that it is possible for all Nigerians to have education, to have employment, and to be available for genuine social welfare in old age. The question is, what are the things that have prevented us from arriving there? I was listening to Patutomi just before I entered, and I can see he has already laid out quite a good theoretical basis for a discussion. But let's do it this way. We don't always go to our history. And one way to go to our history, in my view, is to be very brutal in getting to the facts. All Nigerian ethnic groups, all without exception, have been related from time immemorial, which is another way of saying that almost all the ethnic groups in Nigeria belong to common language families. They have belonged to migrations that are related to one another, such that today, if we decide not to be as parochial as we have always been, you can tell that the Igbo, the Yoruba, the Fulani, the Edo, and very many of the ethnic groups around the Niger Benue belong to the same language family. The only language family that is not part of that complex was Hausa, because it was a Nilo-Saharan language. But it mixed with the Fulani, who belong to the same language family as the Yoruba, the Igbo. every Nigerian has fought very hard to create a distance between one and the other. But when you look hard into it, you will find that no matter how you draw the migrations, if you listen to the folklore, the mythology, the charters of origin that all the ethnic groups in Nigeria have, you will find that whether they claim to come from Iraq, as some people say for the Hausa and the Yoruba, or from Israel, as recent Biafran groups have claimed, they all moved down in the way that black people had moved up, and they interacted in their various migrations in such a way that if you pay attention to the languages spoken by all of them, our linguists in various universities have reached the conclusion that the language spoken by the Igbo and the language spoken by the Yoruba is related to that of the Fulani. It is even claimed that the Igbo and the Yoruba belonged not just to the same community, and that when that community broke, it broke in such a way that when that community broke, it broke in a manner that increased the tempo of migration in various directions, so that you can claim today that the Igbo belonged to the western side of the River Niger before the division, this civil war situation caused the migration to the eastern side of the Niger. They passed through other ethnic fractions. The Igala were a primary function within that migration. The Yoruba and the Nupe shared common king lists. These are things that history books are not teaching us. And as for other groups, it is important always to remember that whether they were migrating from Israel, Iraq, or wherever else they migrated from, some became land owners, others became supporters of slave hunters. Those who worked with the slave hunters did not always act as sedentary people. And the kind of migrations that have taken place between all of them is such that we ought to take very special interest in how they fractured, how their languages interacted before the British came. Once we talk about the British coming, we must know that we are talking about colonizers. It is not the business of a colonizer to bring those they have colonized together. And we seem to have forgotten that completely. We are the ones who should make the effort to go beyond what the colonizer did. But we are still working within the very, very unkind arrangements that the British put together. We have now reached the point where some ethnic groups believe they must colonize others or ritually determine how others must perform, such that they can either stop them from developing, destroy their advantages, or simply reinterpret the slave codes that once divided our people so much that the British kept talking about intertribal wars. They were not intertribal wars, they were slave wars. They were angles towards putting other people down and putting other people up. The British did not build a civic code for Nigeria. That is to say, we were never allowed to become common citizens. And we have not managed to become common citizens until we do become common citizens, in which case no one ethnic group is a suzerain over another. We are not building a country.
Thank you, sir. That's a new spin on the word neo-colonialism, and it's very important to note that this is where we are at this point. Hence the agitation that we get from all over the country. Everybody literally wants to secede at the moment, from the Biafra agitators to the Oduduwa Nation agitators. How can we actually achieve unity, seeing as this theme of the 60th anniversary of our independence is togetherness? Is that a pipe dream, or can it possibly be a reality? And I want to get a bit personal with you, sir. When were you proudest to be Nigerian?
It is important that you are asking that question as a second question. I was 10 years old when Nigeria became independent. We were the marchers in the public square on that day. We had flags given to every child. And we had this special corps made by Nepal. I think the company is still in existence in Lagos today. It was the cup with which we drank on Independence Day. And then we were feted like princes and queens. We are really made to feel that that future everybody talked about belonged to us. There was a sense in which complainers Nigerians were doing, they knew that they were more likely to get their due than not. At least in the Western region, you knew you had a right to free education as a child, and you had free health up to the age of 18. If you did not have it, I mean, the joke began with the government saying free education will be compulsory. When the political party, the ruling political party, lost the 1954 federal election, it learned a lesson. So it made education free, but not compulsory. But that was a government which began free education in 1955, knowing that the money available would not go beyond 3 years plus. And because they knew that money would not carry the day, they insisted before they started that program that all tax-paying adults must pay a 10-shilling levy. It was a time when government could still plan, save so much money over a period in order to be sure that a necessary project will be realized. I don't know any Nigerian who will be told today that if they paid a levy the government will do something in 5 years' time, because across Nigeria, we have governments that collected water rates and special water levies for more than 40 years, and no drop of water came from anywhere. Now, but that was a time when it was possible for that to happen. The breakdown began properly with independence, because what we asked for at independence did not chime with what all of us wanted. There were different ambitions in different regions of Nigeria. Put it this way, some people believed that once independence came, it was the turn of their ethnic group to take over Nigeria and run it. The necessity to have every Nigerian achieve the same civic codes was not properly fought for. So you would have an action group government that wanted education for every child, fighting against a northern regional government that was not exactly opposed to free education, but wanted it for a few. And the few who were supposed to be the children of the Sarakuna, the people who would own the world, could not have been well designed, because it meant that if you couldn't think of everybody as part of that civic code, you were not likely to produce a fair deal, even for those ones whom you were putting through school. The struggle between the various regions led to a division of the spoils, which required, in a system of first past the post-electoral system, it required that only a coalition could make a government possible. And the coalition that was built up was one that pushed for two political parties in government, one political party and all others out of it, but those in government worked very hard to make sure that the division of the spoils took a turn that would lead to a crisis. It was clear from day one that it was going to lead to a crisis. The crisis it led to began with the winners taking over all the jobs at the federal level and making it impossible for the third region, the western region at that time, to pitch into the share route. When I am narrating this story, I always like to put it this way, that when the action group was knocked out of the sharing, the two political parties that were in alliance at the center could not work out that civic code with which they should have started the journey. Before long, a share-out system was evolved which said if the North would always be in control, but they did not have enough personnel to handle it, then it can work out an arrangement with a state that had personnel, even if it could not work out a control system. That was how Nigeria managed to have a government in which much of the share out of personnel favored the eastern region and the National Council of Nigerian Citizens. But 4 years later, what was left was very interesting. Those who took all the jobs suddenly discovered that all the commanding heights of the economy were under those who did not fill the personnel slots. All the military installations went to the northern region. The Kainji Dam went to the northern region. The iron and steel industry, which was posted by an international consortium to go to the east, got another consortium which insisted that it must also go to the north. Now, at that point, the coalition began to shake and not have a focus. Because if all that made Nigeria a proper country in infrastructural terms was going in one direction, all the railway extensions were in one region, you were likely to have a situation where the others no longer felt they were part of the country. If the coalition partners no longer felt that they were part of what was going on, you can imagine how the opposition would feel, especially because they had no share out except what their own ingenuity could provide. One of the issues we must not forget is that this was what led to the coup. The election that took place in 1964, after all the opposition had been smashed, their leaders sent to jail or exile, that election took place with political parties where 80 of the candidates, that is the ruling party, had 80 of the candidates returning unopposed. Once that election took place, it was clear that something dramatic was about to happen, because Nnamdi Azikiwe, the Governor General, refused to call Balewa to form a government. Normally, there is nothing in the Constitution of Nigeria that says the Governor General can take such a decision. But he took such a decision, and there was such a...
Okay, sir. Okay,
well,
okay, sir.
Let me say why I'm saying is because we need to say that this what led to the first coup.
Okay, sir. We need to go to Eagle Square for the celebrations, for the celebration, Independence Day celebration. Let's just take footage from there and stay with that before we come back to you, sir. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Okay.
And flawlessly executed by these wonderful men and women marching to celebrate the freedom of our great nation, Nigeria. That is, of course, the transition from slow time to big time. Of course, the other two highlights of parades such as these is the individual guard halting and the advance in review order. We shall witness all of that shortly, while we focus our gaze to appreciate the transition from slow time to quick time. Happy viewing. That was flawlessly executed by these highly trained men and women of the Nigerian Armed Forces and the Nigerian Police, marching on parade this historic morning, celebrating the 60th independence anniversary of our great nation, Nigeria. At this point, I will hand over the commentary to my co-commentator, Major Paul Abara, retired. Major Paul Abara, please.
Thank you, Captain Innocent Audu. The special guest of honor, Reviewing Officer, President Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, Your Excellencies, all protocols most respectfully observed. It is much past. Slow and quick time, they just broken from slow to quick time, synchronized with the rhythm of the mass band on parade. Please, once again, a quick reminder, when the callers pass by your sitting position, momentarily, you are please expected to rise. Officers, warrant officers in uniform should please salute. Thank you. Moving towards the presidential days this moment is the parade commander, Lieutenant Colonel Mukhtar Sani Daruda. He doubles as the commanding officer 7 Guards Battalion, followed by the parade YC, number 1 guard. The drill, the discipline, the militarism is written all over. Arms, foot drill, coinciding appropriately with the rhythm of the mass band on parade. Number 3 guard is exclusively made up of officers and female soldiers, recognizing the Beijing Declaration, affirmative action 35%. And of course, there are other female officers and female personnel in other guards. For number 3 is exclusive, we can say it. Please, may we rise wherever you are seated once again, momentarily, as the color party passes by your sitting position. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You can see proceedings there from Eagle Square in Abuja. We're still going to stay on that for the larger part of today's broadcast. I just quickly want to ask you this. Great thought about, understanding our history and unity, but there are some people that are always pushing this mindset, in reaction to what Tundu was saying about a lot of people saying they want to break away with the Republic and the like. That, take for instance, the Yoruba people have never been united. Prior to the British coming, we had a Magbon war going on. We had a Jalubi and Kiriji war going on.
100 years war.
100 years war. So we had always been fighting. So what will give us the assurance that now we will not fight again amongst ourselves?
It is important that we have stopped where I was talking about a civil war coming. By the time we had the civil war, Nigeria had reached the point where every fragment wanted to seize power. That is to say, although it was the opposition, they all attacked in the end and jailed for attempted coups. Every political party in Nigeria was planning a coup. The NPC was planning one, which was supposed to have taken place on January 17, 1966. The Eastern region was planning one, which was preempted by another group made up of Igbos and non-Igbos, which took place on January 15, 1966. Almost every part of Nigeria was seeking a special dispensation according to which it would be the dominant arm in the federation. It would be the dominant part of the federation and determine how other regions will fit into the sharing out of largesse. Now, once we realize that that is always where it ends, because we are not too far from where we were in 1964, 65, and 66, when the coups were being planned and when the first coup was actually executed. Even when the other coups came, it is interesting how it worked out. Look, the January 15 boys planned that if they won, they will make Awolowo, who was in jail, their leader. And if he failed to be their leader, they would lock him up in the State House and issue decrees in his name. That eventually did not happen because the coup failed. All the other groups, therefore, we are merely seeking big partners with which to become hegemonic groups in the Nigerian Federation. So we are actually confronted by a situation where the people who wanted to control Nigeria never had a common principle for organizing themselves. We are still in that situation today where we are still seeking that common principle. I want to assure you that that common principle was always in existence but disallowed. What is required is a Nigeria with groups strong enough between themselves not to change their minds and not to change their language towards the kind of change that we need. I began by saying it is possible for all Nigerians. It is possible for all Nigerians, every ethnic nationality in Nigeria, to be given a sense of self-governance. If we can't do that in our next constitutional conference or constitutional revisions, we are likely to be where we were at the very beginning. No one sect or political group can take over Nigeria without granting others their rights of citizenship.
All right. I'd like to say a very big thank you to you, Odia Ofemu, a poet, philosopher, frontline nationalist, and First Republic personal secretary to the sage himself, Obafemi Awolowo. Dr. Bati?
And that's all on today's segment of the morning show. Rutu Sudiri will be here to take you through Global Business Report. Stay with us. It's still the Arise News channel. Okay, before Global Business Report, we'll go back to Eagle Square to continue the coverage of the Independence Day Parade. Thank you.
You see yourself on newspaper too much today. Tomorrow, now you get newspaper. Your cap, that's a mistake now. No best.
Bringing up the rear is our brothers, our sisters, our children, members of the National Youth Service Corps. Now, the Correctional Services Guard is commanded by Deputy Superintendent of Correctional Service, Etai Foley. The Customs Guard is commanded by Deputy Superintendent of Customs, Eben Haruna. The Guard of the Nigerian Immigration Service is commanded by Assistant Superintendent of Immigration, A.A. Alade. And the Guard of the Federal Fire Service, commanded by Assistant Superintendent of Fire, Abdulmimini Isiaka. the Guard of the Federal Road Safety Corps, commanded by Deputy Route Commander A.H. Kogi, the Guard of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, Assistant Superintendent Corps 1, M.V. Sebastian, the Nigerian Legion by Colonel Otubo Kia Donatus, retired, the Guard of the Organized Labor, comprising TUC and NLC, commanded by Comrade Godwin Tom Sunday. And bringing up the rear is the Guard of the National Service Corps, commanded by Corps member Basi Samuel. We must say that the Nigerian Legion did a yeoman's job when the services were needed on their own volition. They answered the clarion call and ensured the indivisibility, the indissolubility, and indeed the indomitability of our great nation, Nigeria. Excellent parade any day. And of course, the NCDC protocol is being observed under normal circumstances. Guards are made up of about 40 members on guard, but I think what we have is 24 to create the physical spacing.
Welcome to our special Independence Day edition of the Global Business Report. I'm Rotu Sodiri, coming to you from Nigeria's commercial capital, Lagos. In a moment, we're going to have in our studio the former Minister of Communication Technology, Mrs. Omobola Johnson, who will discuss how technology in Nigeria could drive a new digital economy over the next 60 years. I am looking forward to that. And then there will be a panel discussion on President Buhari's address to the nation. Also be looking at how several sectors of the economy have fared over the last 60 years. Energy, manufacturing, and banking and finance. Plus more. It's the Global Business Report. Stay tuned. Nigeria celebrates 60 years of independence today, emerging as a diamond among nations and facing a future of tremendous potential. All over the world, emerging economies, most especially Nigeria, are enjoying fresh interest as the rest of the world reviews trade and investment strategies at a time when developed economies are seeing slowing markets amid highly dynamic markets driven by technology. The next 60 years will be shaped more by technology than any other factor. To discuss how information and communication technology in Nigeria could drive a new digital economy over the next 60 years on this special Independence Day edition is Dr. Omobola Johnson. She, of course, is a senior partner of TLCom Capital, a venture capital firm with focus on deal flow generation, investment, and value generation in technology companies in sub-Saharan Africa. Before joining TLCom Capital, Dr. Johnson was Minister of Communication Technology, Nigeria, from 2011 to 2015, focusing on the launch and execution of the National Broadband Plan and the support of the Nigerian technology industry, including the pioneering involvement of the government in a local venture VC fund and a network of startup incubators. Prior to serving in the Nigerian government, she gained over 25 years of consulting experience with Accenture, including 5 years as country managing director. You are very welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. So, you, of course, were the pioneering Minister of Communication and Technology back then, and up until now, how far have we come in Nigeria?
So first of all, thank you very much for having me on the program. The vision then was really just one sentence. It was leveraging technology to facilitate or accelerate Nigeria's economic, social development. That's really what it was. And we were really focused on 3 pillars. It was, first of all, connect Nigeria, and that was around the infrastructure that was required to connect Nigerians to the internet. It was connect Nigerians, and that was really more around the content, the entrepreneurship, the companies that would actually leverage technology and build businesses on this network. And the third thing that we looked at was technology and government. And that was really around improving transparency, accountability, efficiency in government using this same technology. So one sentence around facilitating Nigeria's economic development using technology, but around 3 pillars.
Okay, so a lot, thank you so much for that. A lot has changed over the last 60 years as far as tech is concerned in Nigeria. Analysts have said, if you look at Facebook possibly setting up shop here in, I believe, second half of 2021. What would you, as far as this is concerned, what can you say are the main achievements of tech over this period of time?
I think, Nigeria has always been an interesting market for tech companies. So before the Facebooks of this world, there were the IBMs, the Hewlett Packards. These were companies that were in Nigeria, 40 years ago. Now we have a new generation of technology companies: Facebook, Google, Apple. Nigeria is still a very interesting market for them because, number one, the size of the country. We're a massive country, and so the potential to really connect more Nigerians or more people to their companies and to their applications is really very strong. What have we achieved? I think we've achieved a number of things. First of all, if you start with the mobile revolution, because this is really why we're talking about Nigeria being an innovation hub in Africa, because we have so many people connected on the mobile network. I think they're close to 100 million Nigerians. We have about 30 or 40 million Nigerians connected to the internet. And so that's a major achievement, because that achievements billions of dollars that have gone into infrastructure, billions of dollars that have gone into basically just putting in place the infrastructure required for this connectivity. That's a major achievement. The second major achievement, I would say, is really around the awareness of technology entrepreneurship. Because if you don't have that enabling environment, they may come, or they will come, but they won't come in a big way. So they will come and set up small offices, they'll do everything from wherever it is, and you won't really feel the impact. But if the policy and the regulatory environment, the enabling environment as you call it, is right, then you will see big investments around, if you look at what Google and Microsoft are doing right now, it's skills. They're putting big investments in ensuring that, I can't remember the number now, but several thousands of Africans and Nigerians included will be given software and digital skills over the next few years. So those are big investments, but they can be bigger because we need much more investments to really get to that sort of digital economy space that we're striving to.
Fantastic. Data has been called the new oil. Can I get your thoughts on that within the context of Nigeria and what it means for us?
Absolutely. Data is more than the new oil as far as I'm concerned, because when you look at oil, oil has really been, yes, it's been a bedrock of, where we've got our finances for the country from and everything. But if you look at the oil and gas industry, this is an industry that, and I'm sure I can be corrected, but this is an industry, in my opinion, that really hasn't created enough jobs in the economy, and really we really haven't benefited as Nigerians in terms of all the developments and all the innovation that goes on in the oil and gas industry. We've benefited because we have crude oil in the ground. But data is a new, and I say that because we're seeing companies that are being built on top of this, on top of this infrastructure. And it's all about data. When you look at the e-commerce companies, agri-tech, health tech, it's all about the data that is going through the internet infrastructure. Yes. And so we're not only looking at, we're building companies on this infrastructure, we're raising investments on this infrastructure. These companies are being built by Nigerians. We're creating jobs. I mean, how many companies can you create in year one
And in year 5, they're employing close to 1,000 people. Not many, you know. So for me, that it really is about job creation. It really is about Nigeria now being seen as a center of innovation, because we're innovating. We're innovating around financial services. We're innovating around health, because the challenges that we have in Nigeria are very different, or in Africa, are very different from the challenges that they have in other parts of the world. So we're solving our own problems using technology. Broken value chains, fragmented industries, they're being aggregated using technology. And so I see that it really is more than the new oil, because it's creating jobs, it's creating young entrepreneurs, it's bringing capital into the country, all the things that, you know, that oil isn't doing now and that data will begin to do for us. It's doing and will continue to do for us.
You're actually correct. Oil's contribution to GDP is about 8%, while non-oil is about 91%. So yes, you've very well said. Emerging markets like India, they've become said to be a hub for digital innovation and cost-effective IT. How did they get there?
Oh, deliberate, intentional. I think those are the two words that are important. I think Nigeria and India have some similarities in the sense that they're obviously India is several times bigger than Nigeria, but large populations, large land mass. But the difference between Nigeria and India, in my opinion, is the education and the skills. Now, India probably 50 years ago started this notion of the Indian Institutes of Technology, where they were building or developing young Indians to have, you know, high quality digital skills. You know, and these are the people that are running, to be honest, some of the big US tech companies, you know. But, you know, what they have is a huge mass of very well-educated Indians in the areas of science, technology, engineering, and management. That's mathematics. That is really the big difference. And, you know, we can talk about this forever. What do we need to do? And I know we're going to get there, but I think the big difference between India and Nigeria is really around the skills that they've developed. One thing India has done, and it was really quite disruptive around infrastructure, was, you know, there was a company called Jio that came out of Reliance Networks, and basically they just crashed the price of internet. They literally just made it almost zero. And when you do that, everybody has access. And once everybody has access and you have the right content, then you can begin to see a real contribution of the digital economy, because people are on the internet and they're using it for things that can solve their problems, challenges, and of course also for entertainment.
Fantastic. We're speaking with Dr. Omobola Johnson, former Minister of Communication Technology, about how tech can lift Nigeria over the next 6 years. We're going to go live now to Eagle Square to take a look at the events that are taking place, the celebration in Eagle Square, Abuja. We just saw pictures of Vice President Osibanjo, former President Goodluck Jonathan. Let's take a moment to take a look at what's going on right now.
This, of course, is a unique innovation that was introduced to mark this historic 60th independent anniversary of our great nation, Nigeria. You can see the ensigns to the colors. Of course, colors are only carried by commission officers, referred to as ensigns to the colors. And you can see them maintaining that synchronized movement of the hands and legs. This, of course, has been professionally executed here. Flawless movement coming from these highly trained officers of the Nigerian Armed Forces. Having presented the colors to the guards on parade this morning, the ensigns to the colors have once again retreated in an orderly fashion, still maintaining that graceful movement we are witnessing here today. In a short while, they will reach their starting position, on which they will halt, and of course, that will mark the end of this historic color patrol, the first ever of its kind, being witnessed here at the Eagle Square, Abuja, celebrating Nigeria's Diamond Jubilee, celebrating our freedom, celebrating our sovereignty 60 years after that fateful famous Tafawa Balewa Square in Lagos, where jubilating and ululating Nigerians took to the arena and the streets of Lagos to mark the independence of our great nation, Nigeria. You will agree with me that despite the challenges, we indeed have reason to celebrate this day. This is a nation that that has gone through an unfortunate civil war between 1967 and 1970. We are dealing with other security challenges. However, Nigeria still remains one strong, united, indivisible nation. And today we are here celebrating our freedom, celebrating our independence. Can we put that together? That was the color patrol. You can see the ensigns to the color once again as they gracefully and indeed.
You just saw images there of President Buhari, First Lady, and also Vice President Osibanjo, all with their face masks observing the proceedings at Eagle Square, Abuja. Very coordinated, lots of great choreography, color coordinated as well. Celebrating our freedom, celebrating the Diamond Jubilee, 60 years special Independence Day celebration there in Eagle Square. Still watching the Global Business Report on Arise News. We have, of course, Dr. Omobola Johnson in here with live in the studio talking about technology and how it can take Nigeria forward. Dr. Johnson, I wanted to ask you about where Nigeria, how far we can go over the next 60 years as far as us realizing our full potential as a digital economy, and what kind of milestones we need to reach in order to get there.
You know, we can go very far, Reuters. What kind of milestones? I think I'll start with connectivity. I think we still need to invest billions of dollars in our connectivity, making sure that not only do we have access all across the country. Nigeria is a big country, and parts of it are quite difficult to get to, but access to every Nigerian all over the country. Second of all, the speed and the quality of that access, definitely fast broadband. And also, the cost of the access, so that, we're doing fairly well in terms of cost when you compare to other African countries, but we can still bring the cost of that access lower. And that is done by a lot of work that I know I did when I was in government, and succeeding administrations have done that, which is really working with state governments to really help us cut down the price of the right-of-way that we need to lay fiber, cut down the taxes upon taxes that are put on telecoms companies and companies that do telecom infrastructure. Really, it's around really reducing the cost of that infrastructure. That's the first thing. It's around access, quality of access, and the cost of access, and getting broadband all across the country. I think the second thing really is around talent. You can have all this infrastructure, but if you don't have the talent and the skills, the business talent that will actually create companies, that will create content on the internet, the talent that will actually work in those companies, the talent that will actually maintain the infrastructure, all the network engineers, the people that scale up and down the towers that we see and all of that, we need that talent desperately, because otherwise we won't be able to use this infrastructure. That talent and skills is important. The third thing I would say is capital. The way that, when you talk about digital economy, it's about technology entrepreneurship. And in all other parts of the world, the way that technology entrepreneurship, when you look at the biggest, Facebook, Uber, all of them, they started really from venture capital. This is capital that is not sort of debt, it's equity capital, and it's capital that is given based on a potential upside. I like what this technology entrepreneur is doing. There's a big upside there. I'm going to invest in this individual and this company, and we see how it goes from there. A lot of the capital is coming from outside Nigeria, and that's fine. It really doesn't matter. Money, it doesn't matter what color the money is. Right. But I think that there is an opportunity for us to actually build pools of local capital to support the technology entrepreneurs that we're seeing. In TLCom, we do have a fund. We've invested in 11 companies, both in Nigeria and in Kenya. But most of our capital, with the exception of 2 local partners, is from outside of Nigeria. But we need a lot, but we need Naira. We need Naira capital, because again, when you have Naira capital, you're not worried about the currency devaluations and what that does to your business. So that's the third thing I would say, really around capital, to really support these companies as they grow.
Great stuff. You've touched on how to, as far as reducing costs, as far as accelerating the affordable broadband rollout in Nigeria. Ekiti State, I believe, was the first state that cut its right-of-way charges. A couple other states followed, but it hasn't happened across the board. So how do you think we can accelerate that?
It's so hard. I know when I was in government, I together with my colleagues, we went to the National Economic Council to present to the governors why it makes sense not to tax this infrastructure and make it difficult for us to build at the point of building, but to tax the companies that are created out of this infrastructure. And to correct you, it wasn't actually Ekiti State, it was Lagos State under Governor Fashola. They were the first to actually cut the right-of-way costs across the state. Then, I was actually going state by state. I remember I went to Lagos State, Edo State, Bayelsa State. It's a lot of states. Right. And how do you do this, and every single state you go to, it's an effort. I think that, you know, because this infrastructure is built in states and local governments, how do we accelerate? This is a very, very, what do I call it? Very drastic. Yeah. But why don't we give, for instance, a moratorium on tech infrastructure? Just say, you know what? I give you 3 years, 5 years, telco companies, the main ones of this world, the infrastructure companies, do your tech infrastructure, no right-of-way charges, nothing for the next 2 or 3 years, whatever it is. Let us accelerate that broadband, and we'll get the money to do that. The money is available. Right. Let us do that, and the talent is available. Let's do that. And then once that is done, we can then say, okay, the costs go to a certain amount now. It's not as exorbitant as it is. Yes. But we've had that acceleration of infrastructure. And once that is done, you know, it's not a case of build it and they will come. What I say is that I have seen so many technology entrepreneurs that are building tremendous businesses. They're raising huge amounts of capital, you know. And so if the infrastructure is there, yes, they can connect to the consumers. They make money. The consumers are, they get their services better, faster, cheaper. All this is contributing to a digital economy. So again, I will start from the infrastructure. But the other thing we need to accelerate is around skills and skills. I just cannot overemphasize the importance of skills. It really is crucially important. And right from the very early stages, getting young Nigerians interested, girls in particular, and women interested in technology, and understanding how technology works, engineering, all of those hardcore things, you know, getting the country and our young Nigerians interested in that and building careers, whether it's going into university, studying those kind of subjects, and then building careers in those fields.
Fantastic. I have a follow-up question for you, but I want to go back live. We're talking to Dr. Omomola Johnson, a former Minister of Communication Technology, about how tech can drive development in Nigeria. Let's go back to Eagle Square in Abuja to watch the celebrations there.
High professionalism, high proficiency in foot drill and weapon handling. Excellent synchronization of steps being witnessed here by this highly professionally trained men and women of the Nigerian Army Gas Brigade Silent Drill Squad. Distinguished guests, you can see how these highly professional men and women of the Nigerian Army are able to spin the FN rifle, which is being used for this performance, 360 degrees. It is pertinent to note that the rifle being used by these gallant men and women is by no means light. The FN rifle weighs about 4.5 kilograms, and we can see how these wonderful men and women are able to manipulate the rifle in an excellent display and mastering of weapon handling, synchronized here flawlessly with their proficiency in foot drill, with the mass band on parade giving a rhythmic tune as these men and women display the height of professionalism, which of course the Nigerian Armed Forces is known and respected for. Can we put our hands together for this wonderful performance? And witness here, excellent display, exhibition of excellence in foot drill, weapon handling, dexterity and discipline, highly synchronized performance being witnessed here. You can see the flawless execution of each move by these men and women of the Nigerian Army Gas Brigade Silent Drill Squad. Your Excellency, distinguished guests, it is pertinent to note that
What you are witnessing here is being carried out without any initial word of command. What that means is that there is nobody amongst them giving them orders or directive on what to do at any given time. What you are witnessing is a shared display of training, retraining, hard work, discipline, dexterity, focus of mind, and indeed a high level of professionalism. These, of course, are some of the qualities that men and women of the Nigerian Army, Guards Brigade, Silent Drill Squad, and indeed members of the Nigerian Armed Forces are known and respected for. We can see that high level of professionalism being exhibited here at the Eagle Square, celebrating the freedom of our great nation, Nigeria. Wonderful display befitting of a celebration such as the one we are witnessing today. Your Excellency, distinguished guests, what you are witnessing now is the squad aligning themselves, paving way for the mass band on parade to join up in this unique performance. And what you can see right now taking place on the parade ground is the adoption and the formation of the diamond head. This formation is adopted for two key reasons. The first one is to wish Nigeria a successful and a blessed Diamond Jubilee. Can we put our hands together? You can see the formation of the diamond head, which of course, like I did mention, signifies the troops wishing Nigeria a successful Diamond Jubilee. The second reason you are going to witness shortly as the Adila dance and acrobatic groups file in with the majorette display. Your Excellency, the special guest of honor, Your Excellencies, distinguished invited guests, senior officers, ladies and gentlemen, what you are witnessing now is the majorette display performance being exhibited here by the Adila Dance and Acrobatic Group. Now, the scene is that these highly professionally trained men and women of the Nigerian Armed Forces and the mass band on parade have formed an all-round defense. Now, within that all-round defense, you can see a fortress that has been created at the middle. That fortress represents the Nigerian society. That fortress represents the 36 states of our federation and indeed the territorial integrity of our great nation, Nigeria. And you can see as a result of the defense created by these highly professionally trained men and women, performance can take place.
All right, more images there from Eagle Square. There's the president, there's the first lady, there's the vice president, all in their masks, socially distanced, live Eagle Square. Just saw a coordinated performance of the Nigerian Army's Silent Drill Squad, followed by a very colorful dance and acrobatic group, all decked out in the colors of the Nigerian flag. Jubilee celebration, their 60th Independence Day celebration for Nigeria. Great coordinated stuff. We have, of course, Dr. Omobola Johnson, former Minister of Communication Technology, senior partner at TLCom Capital, talking about using technology to drive Nigeria forward. Dr. Johnson, how do we attract private capital? What funding models make sense?
Favorite topic. Let me answer the second question first, and that's around funding models. I think we've seen all over the world that the funding models to drive technology entrepreneurship, the one that seems to work the best is the venture capital model. And that is where you are actually taking equity in a business. Sometimes a business that is just starting, the startups as we call them. You're taking equity in a business, you're providing them the money to actually build a company that is addressing a particular challenge. So I think that is a great funding model, and that's how we've seen many of the tech companies that we know very well develop and grow.
Now, how do we do this in Nigeria? How do we attract venture capital, private equity into this country? I think, first of all, it is being attracted without really any effort at all. And that's really because, as we said earlier, Nigeria is a very attractive proposition in terms of the number of people and the size of the market, and also even though it's not high, but the level of broadband penetration, it means that you've got a ready market of 30, 40, 50 million people. So without doing much, we're attracting probably $500–600 million every single year, and it's doubling every year since 2015 or so. But I think that we need to do a little bit more. And how do you attract more capital? First of all, you have to have the enabling environment, the regulation, the policies, the stance by government that actually brings this capital in. Capital loves stability. Capital loves consistency. So being able to have consistent policies that somebody knows that when I bring my money in, when I do make money, because venture capital is about making money, when I do make money, I can take some of that money out. So consistency around some of those policies. I think the other thing that we need to do, like I mentioned earlier, is venture capital is great. It's great to have money coming in as foreign direct investment, but we need local pools of capital. So there's some efforts going on to start to introduce a venture capital bill in Nigeria. I've seen one draft of it, but it's really around local currency. Let us build pools of local capital that we can actually use to invest in these, get professionals to invest in these companies, and use our money. Really putting your money where your mouth is. I think that's really the simplest thing.
Dr. Omobala Johnson, we have to have you back for like an hour or so. We've run out of time, but Dr. Omobala Johnson, Senior Partner at TLCom Capital, former Minister of Communication and Technology, thank you so much for joining us to talk about how technology can push Nigeria forward. We appreciate your insights.
Thank you so much.
And now we're going to go back to, look at that. This is impressive stuff here. We're at the Eagle Square, Abuja. Look at that. Look at the tower that's being created, the human tower that's being created with the masquerades there. Let's go back and take a look at the celebrations at Eagle Square. Awesome backflip. Look, did you catch that backflip? Let's go back live and see the celebrations at Eagle Square in Abuja.
That young, talented Nigeria, Miss Temi Are, displaying that wonderful foot juggling there. This is indeed a display of talent. Nigeria is indeed blessed. Your Excellency, the special guest of honor, we can see performing now within the diamond fortress created is the contortionist. This performance is being done by these two talented Nigerians, Victor and Mercy. I'm sure most of our distinguished guests are as dumbfounded as I am here. If these are actually Nigerians, or we have some set of cloned individuals with elastic in place of bones in their bodies. You can see the high level of elasticity, body movement. Abuja.